Let's Get Dangerous aired last night, an hour-long DuckTales special that focused primarily on this reboot's version of Darkwing Duck, while introducing several notable characters and concepts from the original 90s Darkwing Duck show. A lot of people, myself included, suspected that this hour-long special may be used as a backdoor pilot to give this version of Darkwing Duck his own show. For those who don't know, a pilot is a first example of an episode produced for a TV series to sell the idea of the show to a network. If the network likes the pilot, they will order more episodes. A network generally orders several TV pilots a year and picks up only a select few of them to become full-fledged TV shows. A backdoor pilot is an episode of an existing TV series that is used to showcase the potential of a new TV series that takes place in the same universe. More often than not, a backdoor pilot tends to be for a spin-off show, taking a character from the main cast and showing them in their own adventure with new side characters who would become their supporting cast in the new show. In some cases, a show will introduce an entirely new set of characters in a show with the intent of spinning them off through the backdoor pilot. In this case, a Darkwing Duck spin-off would be a little bit of both. Technically, Darkwing Duck was already its own show back in the 90s. While it shared a lot of similarities with the DuckTales show that came before it, including entire characters, the creator has said that he sees Darkwing Duck as being in his own universe. Supposedly, the current creators of the DuckTales reboot originally pitched doing remakes of both Darkwing Duck and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers before DuckTales, though I have yet to see a confirmation on that. In the end, DuckTales was the one that got made, and they seem to be determined to make sure Darkwing Duck gets his own spin-off in the end. We're going to break down where this might go and what all the little details might mean, but before we jump into it, I'd like to talk about our Patreon. We have different rewards at each tier, but even for just $1 a month, you get access to our Patreon-exclusive DuckTales breakdowns, which we do each week, as well as early access to our Poorly Explained series, where we are currently having us poorly explaining DuckTales. I'll put a link in a pinned comment down below, as well as links to our earlier Poorly Explained videos so you can see what they're all about. Now in the DuckTales reboot, Darkwing Duck exists as its own show, one that is implied to be similar to the one in our world, but there does seem to be some key differences based off what we've seen in the episode so far, but we'll get to that later. In the DuckTales reboot, Scrooge has funded a feature film reboot of Darkwing Duck, with the original actor upset that they cast a young and up-and-coming actor who was a fan of the original show to play Darkwing Duck instead of himself. This drives him insane, and he tries to take over the reboot. The episode ends with him being defeated by the new actor, but the entire movie goes up in flames. This new actor, with some inspiration from Launchpad, decides to become a real-life Darkwing Duck and fight evildoers under that persona, not letting the actor who became a villain ruin what was an inspiring character from his childhood. The new actor is named Drake Mallard, which is actually the name of Darkwing Duck's character in the original show as well, though we don't know the name of the original Darkwing Duck's character in this universe's version of the show. After that, Darkwing Duck mostly makes small appearances, helping out where needed alongside Duckburg's other various heroes, such as during the Moonvasion in the Season 2 finale. That brings us to Season 3, where we finally got the Darkwing Duck hour-long special, Let's Get Dangerous. This episode introduces us to 3 more characters who appeared in the original Darkwing Duck as well. Gosselin, a high-spirited and spunky young girl, Professor Waddlemeyer, Gosalyn's grandfather, and Taurus Bulba, a big bull who was a villain in both the original and in this new series. In the original Darkwing Duck, the series begins with Gosalyn being orphaned and her grandfather, who took care of her, apparently dead. Taurus Bulba is an already imprisoned crime boss who uses his connections to escape and try to get secret codes to a ramrod machine that Waddlemeyer built, codes that he believes Gosalyn might have. Darkwing Duck and Launchpad end up rescuing Gosselin, and Darkwing Duck ends up adopting her, with the series bringing their many adventures to fight crime. In this episode, Gosselin is a bit more gritty and serious, as opposed to silly and fun-loving, like in the original. The Ramrod machine is still in play, and was also developed by her grandfather in this, who is simply missing in the beginning of this episode. The Ramrod machine supposedly can create anything out of nothing, but it is revealed that it's actually a portal to other dimensions, and they are just stealing things from those other dimensions. Gosalyn's grandfather realized that the machine was unstable, but Taurus Bulba, who is in charge of the Ramrod project, ended up throwing him into a random other dimension because he was too blinded by greed with the potential of the machine. Gosalyn convinces Darkwing Duck to help her investigate, and together they are able to stop the machine, though they are unable to rescue Gosalyn's grandfather just yet. The episode ends with a promise that one of the many scientist characters of DuckTales can help rescue her grandfather at some point, but that in the meantime, Darkwing Duck, Launchpad, and Gosalyn will fight crime throughout this neighboring city to Duckburg, with Launchpad explaining that he can spend his days with the DuckTales family, his nights with Darkwing Duck, and sleep on the drives between the two towns. In the episode, two notable things happen regarding this. First, Huey theorizes that all forms of storytelling are just visions of other universes, which means that the alternate realities seen in the Ramrod machine can be TV shows from our world, or from the DuckTales world, or any other possible realm. This is proven when villains from the Darkwing Duck's original cartoon are brought in by the Ramrod to fight against this world's Darkwing Duck. It is proven again when Huey, Dewey, and Louie are temporarily teleported to an alternate reality where they take the place of the triplets of the original DuckTales series, which isn't a cartoon in their world, but is in ours. The second notable thing to happen is Launchpad and Darkwing Duck discussing the actual episode titles and numbers of the original series. They were 100% accurate to our own, including their hints at what happens in the episodes. However, Launchpad doesn't recognize himself as a character from that show, nor do either of them recognize Taurus, Gosalyn, or Waddlemeyer as characters from the show. While this may seem contradictory, and perhaps just not something that the writers put too much thought into, it would seem that the DuckTales World version of Darkwing Duck has a show that doesn't include Launchpad, Gosalyn, and Waddlemeyer or Taurus Bulba, but it seems to be otherwise exactly the same, with episodes unrelated to them in the exact same place as the real Darkwing Duck series. Perhaps they have similar relationships in that show, but with characters that have different names and backgrounds. As of now, we don't know if this plan to launch Darkwing Duck into his own show will really take off. The DuckTales reboot itself has not been a big ratings hit, with a large majority of the series making less than 500,000 views per episode, with more recent episodes never getting past the 200,000 view point, meaning it's performing lower than other shows on the network like The Owl House. These views may be offset by viewership on the streaming platforms, but they are a far cry from the millions of views that shows like Gravity Falls got, or even that other networks are getting with their cartoons now. For now, all we can do is wait and see, but whether or not it happens, it is undeniable that they are trying to spin it off into its own show. If they don't make that happen though, I'm sure DuckTales will wrap up Gosalyn's story in season 4 or 5, and give her a happy reunion with her grandfather. Until then, we'll just have to wait and see. See you next time!